Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of Spindle TV. How are y'all doing tonight? Sorry about last night, ladies and gentlemen. I had went up north to an open house event and came home with some, new contacts, some sales, and an extreme cold. Somebody was nice enough to pass along their cold to me, so I had to. There was no way I could do last night a class. I had to postpone tonight, and as you can tell, we're running a little bit late behind. It's still one of those things, but we're going to push through, and I hope you're all doing very well. I'll do my best to keep the coughing suppressed to a minimum, but I'm joined tonight with JR and Ronnie. How are you two gentlemen doing this evening?
Good.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks.
Outstanding. We're going to play around with a little bit of 3D modeling, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about 3D models in general for those that have desktop and pro and things like that. But I'd really like to, I've got some new profiles for you all that I put together that are a great combination of profiles for the 2-rail sweep tool. And they're a great set of profile shapes that could be used with that 2-rail sweep tool to create a mini good thing. So I'd like to, I'm going to be giving you that file, but I'd like to just kind of go over the 2-rail sweep tool and we'll make something tonight. I've got a special project I'd like to make. It's a nice multi-petal flower. And I'd like to model it, and I'd like to take you along on the journey and kind of talk about it and everything as we go through. Now, give me just 1 second. Let me pull up the comment section and everything so I can see all of you. Give me 2 seconds to get there. And again, if you hear me pause, it's because I'm trying to. It's hard to suppress a cold when it's wanting to come, or a cough when it's wanting to come out. All right, let's see here, and I'll try to keep that to a minimum. I know that's going to be irritating. All right, let's see. Live control room.
I can guarantee you I didn't give it to you, Laney.
No, sir. I know exactly who did, and God bless them. You know, they bought a machine, so I can't complain too much. But you know, it is what it is. All right, let's see. Let's see here. Let me just catch up on y'all's comments really quick. You're going to see me kind of looking off to the side because I got you on the big screen. Good evening. Hey, hey, Roger S., John Ferrier, Ronnie Ferrier. Ronnie's with me. Okay, Doug Fushi. Everybody's doing well. All right, so let me. I got to get up because I'm not set up proper tonight. But let me switch over to the computer screen. That's computer screen number 3. That's not computer screen number 3. There we go. And let me move myself down in the small corner here. So position A is going to be right there. Microphone testing 1, 2, 3 is on. Let me jump back over here. Outstanding. Okay. So that's not a spire. What is that? That is not a spire. This is a spire. So what you will be seeing on the screen, what you should be seeing on the screen popped up in front of you is a blue multicolor flower. And then a bunch of kind of profiles and everything on the screen. And these profiles, when it comes to sculpting, and if you watch some of this, sculpting 3D model videos on YouTube and things, you're going to see when they're doing things like scrolls and creating, models and sweeps and things, you're going to see that somewhere on the screen, they have a reference of profiles that they use to create different shapes and things. And the reason for this is because the 2-rail sweep tool, and let me turn off the picture here for a minute. And let me close the 2-rail sweep tool over here on the left. And let me delete this out of the screen here. The reason for this, oh, did we lose it? What's that?
You want to go big screen?
Did I, oh man. Yeah, I really do. I really, I really do. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Yep, there we go. All right. Thank you, JR, for that. I can't, I traveled with all my electronics and stuff for the show, and so I'm working with a half setup, so everything is kind of like jumbled right this second. So what we have is when it comes to a 2-rail sweep, and what I'm going to do, just kind of give a general reference. I'm going to draw 2 lines here, and let's go space bar. And I got someone that just popped in that's part of the crew. So hold on a second. Let me see who that was. It was somebody. All right. Well, welcome, somebody. All right. So when it comes to the 2-rail sweep tool, what we have, the reason why it's called a 2-rail sweep tool is because we have generally 2 rails. The rails don't have to be straight. They could be arches. They could be wiggly lines. They could be some kind of path, right? The path, one thing that's important is the start of a line and the end of the line, they don't join together. It's not a closed vector. The vectors have to be open. So if I was, let's say I was making a flower petal, which we're going to be doing here in a little bit and everything, I might have a petal, let's say that that's this shape and everything. I would probably at the very top and the bottom, I would move this over just a little bit so there's a little bit of a gap. It doesn't require a big gap at all, but there's some separation because the model will close itself off, you know, on the end of the 2-rail sweep and stuff. But it wouldn't be a closed vector. We need those 2 open vectors and everything. Now, the 2-rail sweep tool is very cool. And the reason why we have these different profiles is because we can change the cross section. So as a particular profile or shape is getting swept between the 2 lines, we can change the shape of that sweep. So if we go into the 2-rail sweep tool here, and let's say I select my left rail first and my right rail second, these are called my drive rails that I just selected. And you'll notice that there's arrows, red and green arrows and everything. And notice they're facing the same way. Well, if my start points and things were different, and I had my one set of arrows on my one rail going this way and one going that way, it's going to try to twist this model, not preferably, you know. So what we want to do is we always want to make sure that the rails are going in the same direction when we're sweeping across and everything. So, and it, excuse me, it doesn't matter if they're sweeping upward or downward as long as they're going together the same distance and all. But let's say, for example, that I want to start off with a square profile. And the height of the profile plays a role with the height of the component that's going to get created and everything. So we have short ones, mid-sized ones, and tall ones and things. And you know, it's usually with these combinations and stuff, there's different shapes, but there's different heights because, you know, you might need something to go down low or something up high and that kind of thing. So let's say I start with a square shape here, and I'm going to click at the beginning of this line, and you're going to see a series of lines kind of come across. These are called cross sections. And in this case, the cross section that I selected, the profile that I selected, is getting swept from point A to point B all the way across here. Now, if I said that I wanted to change it up and maybe I wanted to have it right somewhere in the middle, let's say right over here, I'll just click my mouse one time. Say that I wanted it square, but in the middle, I wanted it to change to this shape or transition into this shape. And it's going to transition into that shape and continue with that shape all the way through. So let's look at if I apply this, let's look and see what that would look like. And let's click apply, and let me switch over to the 3D view. My apologies, folks. There we go. And so in this cross section here, I'm starting off with my square shape. Now remember, my square shape, when I first selected that profile, let me turn this just a little bit. Turn so they can see just a little bit. When I started with that flat square shape, right in the middle, when I first selected that shape and everything, it was sweeping all the way across, right? Well, right in the middle, I added that second shape, so it transitioned. But at the end here, it's still going to that square shape because that was the first shape that I selected, and it was going from one end to the other. I just changed it in the middle to where it's transitioning from the square shape to that U shape, but then it starts to transition back to the square shape here. Now, had I come in on this second selection here, and I come in and you see we have these nodes, red, yellow, red. Well, that red was that first profile sweeping all the way across. The yellow is the second profile, it assigned that color to it. And that yellow is starting here, but it's transitioning back to the red. Well, if I would have come down here and selected this and made it yellow also, then I would be going from the square to that kind of U-shaped profile, and then I would stay at that U-shaped profile all the way through. And so if we looked at that in the, let's sweep that across and look at that in the 3D view again, and I'll turn my resolution down to make transitioning and things faster. But now you can see I'm going from that square shape and I'm transitioning to that U shape, and it stays that U shape all the way through. Well, let's say that I come in here and I decide that I want to change it up. I want to go from square to that upside down U shape, but then I want it to have a little bit of a kind of a wavy slant to it, in whatever direction. I can go left to right, right to left, it doesn't matter. And I want to kind of go a little bit taller. And also I'm going to click here and I'm going to come over and select this. And you're going to see this node turns kind of a green, lime green color. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to be transitioning. I'm going to come from that square flat profile, the first one. It's going to transition to the kind of U-shaped profile. And then from that U-shaped profile, it's going to transition to this kind of sideways wave. So I mean, depending on my path and what I'm trying to make, I can make this thing do all kinds of different, sweeps and transitions, and it's a beautiful blend and things like that. And so these profiles, let's go look at this in the 3D view here. It'll take just a second to transfer over. So now what you can see is I'm going from the flat shape, it's transitioning to kind of that U shape, but then it's slowly transitioning into that and ending with that kind of, that ramped shape, with the rounded edges and stuff. So given this and understanding and knowing this, being able to have a variety of these profiles, right? Using any combination of them, even these little beaded ones and stuff I hear, it looks like birds flying in the background there. But a variety of combinations of profiles and shapes, you can mix and match them in any way to create an array of things. So this is a collection of profiles that, excuse me, this is a collection of profiles that I've created, over time. One from, just some shape, but also, observing, learning, watching sculpting videos and everything, and seeing, the kind of shapes they're working with and what they're doing. And it's real easy to create a set of shapes. I usually start with just literally one. I don't know why I selected all three of them. I would start with an initial shape. And in this case, we're going to drag this with a control key down to here. So we're making a copy of it. Let's zoom in and get kind of up close and personal with it. So in here, let's say that I wanted this shape to, let's go into node editing. Let's say I wanted to make kind of a chamfered shape, if you will, in node editing. And really quick, ladies and gentlemen, let me turn the resolution down just a bit. I should have did a restart on my computer so everything was nice and fresh for us. But let's go back here again. So in node editing, I'm going to hit letter N for node on the keyboard. I'm going to insert a point here, and I'm going to pull this point up, and I'll just make a small chamfer, kind of like the roof of a house. And from here, let's get out of node editing. I'll hold down the control key and drag over 1, 2, control key, 2. And I don't change the height of the angle, but what I do is I actually just kind of squish it down, right? So to create that medium shape. And so what it does, it also changes that angle slightly, right? And then on this one, let me select this one. And I'll pull this one down to a lower level, right? And so now I have my 3 shapes that would have kind of like a little bit of a chamfered angle to it, right? So I could, add that to my collection, and I will. I'll send that to you. So creating the shapes, I mean, I could just come up with all kinds of different little shapes and stuff and start building this up to a crazy collection, of just different things that I could just kind of sweep in through. And so these are the profiles that I'm going to be providing to you. And I believe with this collection of profiles, there's really the possibility. There's so many combinations of things that could be made from just this few here that it'll cover a lot of your desired 2-rail sweep, creations and things. And that's what this is what we're going to be working for. So this just gives a little bit of an understanding of the 2-rail sweep. We're sweeping between 2 rails, 2 lines, 2 paths, line, arc, curve, whatever it may be. And we are sweeping a profiled shape between them. And the lines, they don't have to be straight. They could be spread apart. They could be, like waves and things where they go in and out from each other. And it's going to sweep those profiles, and it will scale the profile with the cross section. So if that cross section, the 2 rails, if they get wider and then narrower and then wider and then narrower, that profile is going to do the same thing, right? It's going to scale up or down. Its height and everything is going to change depending on if it's stretching or condensing and things like that. So it's really cool. There's a lot of things that you can do. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our flower. Let's get rid of those 2 items there. Maybe let's close this tool and then do that. Delete. We're going to take this flower as our reference image, and we are going to do our best or do what we can to create this. And I have a really beautiful 15-inch diameter. It's technically like 15 and 3/16 or something like that. But anyway, 15-inch by 15-inch diameter teak round bar stool from Lowe's. It's really nice. 1 inch thick. And I, over the weekend at the open house, the class that we taught on Friday, we made a nice little medallion with a nice 3D model and everything, and I really liked it. But I'd like to do one. I think it would make a really nice piece of just wall art and everything. So this is the muse image, so the reference image that we're going to kind of be working off of and stuff. All right. So with that being said, let me look over my shoulder and see if I have any quick yeah, Ronnie, we were supposed to start at 7:30, but at 7:30 I was in a dead sweat, unshaven, hair all wild, and I had just crawled out of bed because I'm dying. So we started at 8. It took me a little while to make myself look presentable. So I'm sorry about that. Running late. Let's see here. So it came at 18:38. Yeah. So we were just kind of running on time. Let's see here. Make yourself big. See that? Hey, Billy McGee, thanks for popping in, man. Does the size of the shape you've created have an impact on the sweep design? No. The size of the shape that I've created for the profiles and stuff, that it will get stretched. And remember, when we're doing models and all, it kind of keeps the aspect ratio of the X, Y, and Z the same. So that shape, if it gets stretched, it's going to get larger. So it would be like me taking one of these shapes and grabbing the corner rail and stretching it. So like, if my rails were large and everything, or if I were, if the rails were closer together, then I would be reducing it, right? And so it'll keep the aspect ratio of, of that part. If I have the option, which is grayed out right now, to scale the cross section with the width. Now, if I don't check that option to scale the cross section with the width, meaning, it scales it up and down like you just saw. If I don't have that checked, then it's going to try to take this shape. Let me close this tool. It's going to try to take this shape and stretch it between the two rails. So it's probably going to stretch it out between the two rails, right? And so that would change the shape a little bit and all that stuff. Because, if my rails are wide apart or if my rails were close together, right? So it would skew that design that way. If I do not have the scale cross section with width checked, then it'll stretch it or, squish it and everything to make it fit between those rails and everything. That doesn't, it doesn't change its height and it doesn't keep that aspect ratio. Give me just 1 second to tell this individual I'm in a class. I'm currently teaching a class. I will not be available till after 10 p.m. I can call you then, or you can call me back around 10:45. Let me close this again. That option on or off is what's going to keep either the aspect ratio or not. So let me get this undone. And I don't, that's actually one of my shapes because I didn't hit the control key. So let me put that back where it belongs. There we go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our subject. This is what we're going to be working with. And we're going to it's a muse. Now, I do not expect my flower to be 100% looking like this when it's done, but I'm going to try to be close to it, right? But it's going to help me kind of get the general shape of what I need and all that good stuff. Okay. And Ronnie, let me know if that answered your question on the shape.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Wayne.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Okay. Vitamin water or something. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's go. All right. As you can tell, this is just a picture. I've got to create the vectors for the rails and the sweeps. Now, for me, I break it down this simple, okay? I'm going to take one shape and create one shape, and I'm going to sweep it. And then I might find myself going through and just rotating that shape around a certain number of times around the center of my material. Why draw what you can copy kind of thing. And then I can take that shape and I can manipulate it and change it and adjust it and all that stuff using the sculpting tools and, the tilts and fades and things like that. So I don't have to draw a single vector for every single one of these. I can pretty much, get away with a minimal set of vectors. Now, as far as this little cluster here, I've got something in mind for that. One is I could create one small little baby and make multiple bunches of copies of it and things like that, and then just kind of position them around a little dome, to kind of create this. Or I can use an image to create kind of a texture that might have this bumpy texture like that, and then wrap that textured model that we create over a dome to give it kind of that profile. So we'll see how that goes and what we do with that in just a moment. Let's start off with creating our vectors. Now on the general shape, I'm going to just simply use the draw arc tool. And we'll talk about how it crinkles at the end here. We'll show you how that gets created and all that stuff. But I'm going to kind of not try to get in the middle here. I'm going to come over to the left side of a petal. And when I'm not on an image, it fades out. And if you need to see the detail of the image, like if you're working on something like this and you need to see the detail of the image, when you're clicked on an image, it's kind of lit up, right? You can see that stuff. When you're not clicked on it, you're onto something else and everything, it fades out. Well, how you can change that or, make it to where you can see it, right click on the image or select it first, then right click and come down to appearance on the screen, and then take the fading and just turn the fading off and hit close. And then no matter if you're clicked on the image or not, it'll be lit up like this for you. And that's the same with kind of like the grayscales of a model. When you're looking at the grayscale version of one of your components, in the 2D view, you can make the appearance. You can turn that fading off so that if you need to see certain lines and things. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to use the arc tool. And like I said, I'm not going to try to get right in the center. I'm going to come off to the edge here, and I'm going to click my starting point of the arc, and I'm going to come down into this round area here, just somewhere in this general area, and click a second time. And then I'm going to pull this out to roughly get this shape. And then, excuse me. And then I can feel like when my breath gets taken away. We're going to come over here, and I'll do the same thing here. This is just the rough shape. We're not going to go with just a simple arc because the petal's not a simple arc. But we're going to come into here and kind of pull this a little bit that way. I'm going to get out of that. And this arc, I need it to be a Bezier curve. So I'm going to go into node editing. And I'm going to turn that arc from a arc to a curve, because I really want to kind of capture the organic flow of this petal. And, it has a little bit of a in and out to it. Let's come over here. Now, as it comes, out here and everything, it also comes back in. And because I'm only here, I need to add kind of an additional point. I need to, somewhere right in here, I need to insert a point. And I need this to kind of minimize a little bit so it kind of comes in and just a nice general flow. And as I come into here, I can then insert a point here, and I can kind of start to bring that in. I'll just use the arrow key to bump that over a little bit and kind of just capture that, flow. Let's take this a little bit. Okay. And then over here, I'll do the same thing. Let's turn this into a Bezier. I'll go ahead and I know I need a point right about here. And then I'll start to shape this upper area. Knowing that there's a shadow on this, I'm not trying to capture the shadow. I just want to, get the general shape. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is, we're just using it for reference. Okay, let me pull this in. All right, now I'm going to turn off the smoothing on this particular point here so that this line and this line are separate, so that when I change this anchor, when I pull this anchor out, it doesn't change this upper part and everything. Okay, so that's going to be my shape. Now let's turn on the appearance. I can turn that fading up a bit. So that you all can kind of see the shape that was drawn and stuff. Now, this shape I'm going to work with. Now, when I sweep this around or when I start making my petals and all of that and everything, I'm not... My reference is my reference. Yes, I could make it look exactly like, that flower and everything and put everything right in its place and draw all the vectors and all that. I want to create something organic, something, I want to create, so if my sweep around isn't just right with this flower and all, it's not the end of the world, as long as it looks good in the end for me and everything. And so each petal is going to have its subtle differences, but I will adjust those differences in the sculpting and everything as I create. So with that being said, let's go ahead now. We'll turn off the bitmap layer for the moment, and also I am going to have this centered. So I do want to create a kind of like a center area, and I want to go 2 1/4 inches in diameter. I don't think that did that. 2 1/4, apply for that center area. And this petal is just off center, right? It's not perfectly centered and all that stuff. And by all means, I'm okay with that. If I wanted to be centered, of course, I could, do my best to rotate it and move the two things and all of that stuff. It's not the end of the world. I could rotate and line things up and blah, blah, blah. But let's undo that. I want to kind of create it just like it is. But I am going to sweep this petal when I create the model. I am going to sweep it based off of the center point here to give the flowers a little bit of they'll have kind of a flow to them. You'll see that in just a minute. All right, let's go to the 2-rail sweep tool. And for the 2-rail sweep tool, on this petal, if we look at the picture again, the bitmap image, and let's click on it, you can see at the tip, there's kind of like this little hump, and the petal's kind of wavy. It's got these kind of compressed wrinkles and everything here. This shape and everything stems from if I was trying to create it, not stems from a shape that's kind of like this shape here. Okay. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go mid-height on this. I'll use this as my first shape. And I will go into the 2-rail sweep tool, select my left rail first, hold down the shift key, the right rail second. That'll be my drive rails, making sure my arrows are sweeping in the right direction. And so since I am sweeping from the top down, at the top is going to be that kind of crinkled area. So we're going to have this here. Now, this is where that scale cross section with width comes in handy. This has a pretty, decent height to it, right? But as the lines get closer, that model's going to get smaller, shrink down. And as they get wider, it's going to build up and everything. So if I don't scale the cross section, then it's going to, try its best to maintain this size where it can, of course. And so we'll look at both options with it checked to maintain or scale the cross section with the width and to not scale. We'll see what it looks like and see which one we like best. So from here, I'm going to select that profile. It's got to be selected, and then I'm going to come over and click on my starting point. And you'll see that creates the cross sections, those little cross sections there. Now, currently, right now, that crinkly is going from point A to point B, but in the middle, I want it to start smoothing out, okay? And I want it to kind of go from low to a little high. I want it to have a little bit of a wave to it, right? So I'm going to use this taller one, and I'm going to have it start to transition right about here. So it's going to kind of transition into that wrinkled, those little humps on my first profile, right about there. And then I want to, as we get to here, I want the pedal to kind of fold in a little bit. So I'll have this hump go from here, and I need to click again. Remember, my profile, where's it at? The hump is still selected, right? It's still selected. So I can tell it where I want it to start, and I also could give it an idea where to end. So I'm going to go right about here. So from point A to B there. And then from here down, I'd like it to kind of start, transitioning down into, kind of this U shape. And actually, it's not that U shape. I don't want that one. I want this one up here that has the kind of, the points. Actually, that's a lie. I want this one here that has the rounded edges. I like the rounded edges. So we'll select that one. And with that one selected, we'll come over here, and I'll just click on that. So what's going to happen is my little crinkly profile, this one here, is going to be first. And let me move these. Oh, I don't think it'll let me move one and two. I'll put them together, but it's going to go from there to my rounded profile, and then it's going to transition slowly to that kind of curved down profile there. And so what we should see, let's go to the 3D view. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to make it a merged item. I am going to scale the cross section with the width for this first one. Okay. All right. Now, as it got wider here on the pedals and everything, it did scale, right? It stretched and made this fat in the middle. Not my desired look and everything. So let's uncheck the scale cross section with width and hit apply. Wait for it. All right. Now, on the pedal, when it is, I'd like it to start transitioning to that fold a little bit more, a little bit sooner. I don't really want it to be so bulgy. And looking at this on here and stuff, maybe I don't want that bulge to be so tall. So as long as I don't close the tool, I can make any change that I want. So instead of this tall one, I'm going to go with Mo. And this profile is going to change. It's going to replace this one. So I'm going to click there and replace that. So that'll be that one. And I'd like it to, instead of coming all the way down here, I'd like it to stop right about there. And then I'd like it to start transitioning to this profile here that we've already used. I'd like it to transition to that a little sooner. So where this yellow is, I'm going to go ahead and right click and delete that cross section, meaning I want to get rid of that, and then I'm just going to let it, start transitioning to here with that kind of U shape. It's going to kind of fold in itself. So let's reapply. Let's go to the 3D view. So sorry, folks. And let's reapply that. Wait for it. There we go. Now we're starting to kind of get, a little bit more subtle. Now on the petals here, I'm going to be able to take in my sculpting tool, I'm going to be able to kind of smudge some of this out to stretch some of these areas out a little bit. I'll be able to smooth them down and stuff to change, so it's not so peaky, if you will, right, and things. But I can also, if I want these veins to kind of come a little bit more into here where it's kind of like the petals going there, then I just change the cross section, right? So I come in here on this cross section, and I move it. I just want to show you moving a cross section. So I don't particularly have anything, it's like right now I'm just going to come in and click and hold and drag this down here. I don't want my cross section to be, it's okay. I can make them whatever shape I want, right? I don't want to delete it, but I'm going to drag this down here too, so it's somewhat, we'll go at a little bit of an angle. All right, so I can change the shape of these cross sections. I can sweep them. I can do this. I can do that. I can create all kinds of different things. I just wanted to pull that down a little bit. So once again, when I apply this, we should have these kind of ripples come down just a little bit more, about into here. And you actually might see a little bit of an angle. You won't see that much, but there you go. All right, that's going to be my petal, or the start of my petal, right? Now, my petal and everything, I'm going to, once it's created, let's close this tool now. Before I move on and duplicate it and multiply it and this and that or whatever, I'm going to tighten it up, right? So one of the things that I would like to see here is in my component, I'll select it. We'll rename it too. This will be my original head. Excuse me, pedal. P-E-T-A-L or P-E-D-A-L? I think it's P-E-D-A-L. Pedal. Well, somebody correct me in the chat if I'm flower petal or pedal. I can't remember now. All right. My brain's congested. In here, with the component selected, I'm going to go into the sculpting tool, sculpt visible model. Oh my goodness. And the first thing I'm going to do is, and I'm working with a lower resolution, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see the pixelation in here and everything. I'd really like to, let me hit cancel on that. I'd like to pick that resolution back up because I really, I'm going to go into the job setup. Oops. I'm going to hold down the shift key, hit cancel real quick. Hold down the shift key, then go into the job setup. I'm going to turn this up, just doubling the amount of pixels spread across this 15 by 15 area. My pedal's small, the 15 by 15 area is big, so I want to kind of double up the resolution. All right, one more time. Go in there and select my component. Go into the sculpting tool. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to smooth these peaks down a little bit. And then I might kind of smudge some of them. All right, so with the smoothing tool, I'm going to beat my diameter. I'll bring that down to about 70. Let me see what size that's going to be. Yep, that's good. 77. Strength 40, smoothness 70. Want to preserve the transparency. on this, and I'm just gonna rub over these peaks. Still a little pixelated in my model. Again, big work area, small model. If I wanted to, you know, I could have created a smaller work area, made my one pedal and brought that into this larger work area. Could have done myself that service. And it would be, you know, much clearer and everything here. All right, I'm going to use this. Excuse me. I'm going to use the smudge tool. And I'm not the greatest with the smudge tool, but the strength, I'm going to turn that up to about 50. And what I want to do, I just want to pull just straight back. Come over here, let go of that mouse. I just want to right about here, hold down that left mouse button and pull. And let go. Just kind of pulling that pedal where it's kind of like condensing down a little bit. That's good. Now I'm going to go back to the smoothing tool. Turn my diameter up, make it larger so it covers more area. And just smooth that out. Okay. All right, now as we're coming into here and everything, I'm going to get out of this. I'm done with the sculpting for what I want to do right now. The next thing I want to do is I want to add a small amount of draft, just a slight angle to the sides of this. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a fade where it kind of starts to fade down. And with the fade, let me come in here. I've got a lot of, let me turn this a little bit more. I got a lot of meat under this pedal. There's base height, and then there's shape height. The shape height is all my rounded stuff, all the wrinkles and everything like that. I didn't mean to rotate it that far. I'm so sorry, folks. But there's a lot of base height. And I need that base height because there's going to be pedals behind it, but I don't need all of it. So I might find myself, slicing a little off the back, off the back side to bring things down a little bit. I won't do that now. I'm going to see what I need from other pedals and all that stuff. But when it's all said and done, because remember, I got to carve this within a 1-inch piece and all that stuff, thickness piece, and it's going to be in a little bit of a dish, if you will, not a round dish, but a flat dish. So I might have to shave this off. And Aspire, I can take off the back. I can mill some meat off the back and stuff. But first, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add a little bit of an angle to that part, and it's going to be called draft, a draft angle. And so I'm going to select the component, and in the design tools, I'm going to come down to add draft, create a component with a draft added, and go maybe 17-degree draft. Click apply. There's no particular number that, I like anything from, 15 to 30 degrees, 10 to 30 degrees I like. But nothing here. Now this is creating another model with the draft added. So my original is going to be untouched and it'll still be in my component list. So if I decide later I don't want that draft or I want to change the angle or this or that, I always have the original to revert back to and everything. But I do not need the original. Once the new model is created with the draft, I don't need the original anymore. So I can just turn it off, uncheck it at the component list and hide it until I do need it. So this is creating the draft right now. You should be able to see that blue progress bar going across the screen. It's going to take all these edges and kind of do that. Here we go. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's just water with electrolytes with a strawberry peach flavor to it. Just trying to build up myself. Come on in, almost there. It's taken a little while because, again, I should have restarted my computer before I started class, but I was running late already. All right, and so with that, you should be able to see that transition. You see how that softened those edges quite dramatically, right? Soften those edges and everything, and that's what I want for my pedal. All right, let's go ahead and close that. And in the component tree, you should see now it says model with draft and then the original pedal, right? The original pedal I don't need visible anymore, so I can go ahead and uncheck that. That leaves me with my, new model with the pedal and everything, and have those nice smooth edges and things. Very nice. Cool. All right, the last thing I'd like to do to this part, and for this one, I'm going to actually go into the 3D view where I am. I'm going to straighten myself out so I can kind of get a little bit head on here. And what I am aiming for is I'm going to go into I'm actually going to use the 3D. I love the version 12 3D view. I want to use the properties button in the 3D view because I want to do a little bit of a fade. I want to kind of just fade a little bit on this. And so from here, now when I hit the set button, I'm going to get an anchor with a number 1. The number 1 is kind of the area I want to keep. And then when I click, it's going to change it to a number 2 with an anchor. And where I click the second time is where I want to fade to. So I want to, right in this general area here, right about into here, I want to click first, and then I'm going to come down to right about the middle down here, and I want to click a second time. It's going to kind of start fading things about halfway on that. And if we were kind of turn this to the side here, and you don't really see a whole lot. You see a little bit of a color change, so you don't see a whole lot of stuff happening. But if I were to crank this up, basically what it's doing is it's fading the detail, that wrinkle that I have, with a U shape. It's fading all that down and everything and all. And so what it's just creating for me is it's kind of that downward motion. Now, I don't want to go with 100% fade. I'm just going to go probably 65%. Let that build back itself. Okay. And I'm going to close that. And it's really hard. Let me see if I can get from the left side. See if it'll swing around to the left side. If I zoom in, basically it's giving me this hump right here where it's kind of fading down to that center area, you know. The height I need in the middle, because there's going to be other petals behind it, you know, going around and everything. And I need them to kind of be kind of hidden by this. And also I need a little bit of height in the middle of this, but I want to kind of transition down. Now, I may have done myself a disservice. I may have transitioned a little bit too much so that my petal in the background might get seen through, you know, when I'm in this area here. But you got to remember, there's going to be a little dome of dimples, I guess I don't know what you call them. They're going to be in there and stuff too. And so that's going to be my initial shape. All right, so now we have a shape to work with. This shape again it's not like perfect symmetrical and all that stuff. So when I sweep it around, it's going to have kind of like a little bit of an angle to it. And so we're going to take this and this is my model with the draft. I'm going to make a copy of it. I want to keep this intact. I'm going to add a new level. I'm going to call level 1 my originals, right? I like to keep my originals intact. So let's rename this to originals. And I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to pull that up into level 2 on the left over here. And I'm going to turn it off in level 1, or the original level. All right. My vectors, I'm going to put them on their own layer. Layer and levels are a little different. Levels are for components. Layers are for everything. Let's go to move to layer. This is going to be my 2rel sweep vectors. And I can go ahead and turn them off. For right now. All right, we're going to go ahead and sweep this around. Now, I'm actually using the center of my board as the sweeping. So 0, 0 is going to be the center point. I'm doing a circular array. I'm going to zero off that and everything. So my petals, when they come, they're going to, it's not like going to be like the clocks on a hand, you know, where everything looks, you know, perfect. No, there's going to be a little bit of a kind of a swing to it almost as it goes around. And I'd like to, let's see what 15 looks like. 15 petals going around that 0, 0 point for 360 degrees. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Let's go into the 3D view and see what we made here. Let's go. Where's top at? It's currently right now it's a bulky little flower and everything because it's got some heft to it. We'll thin it down. We'll get all that in just a moment. It's got some. It's a little chunky. Little chunky monkey there. All right, let's see here. Let's zoom in. All right, now these green. Let's close this tool. And let's go into the components, deselect this. The green basically it's showing where the models are overlapping each other, and they're blending and everything. When you deselect them, it hides that green. The green is just saying, hey, there's a component covered by another component. That's what the green is. All right, looks weird without the center area. So for just right now, we're going to go into the layers and turn on the vectors for a minute. I'm just going to grab that center area vector and create a dome. I'm going to probably go with a 65-degree dome. We're going to give it some life in just a moment, but let's oh, I should have hold on a second. It's got to be a merge, not an add. Merge, even though that looks cool, but no. Let's go to merge. And let's go to top view so we can kind of get up front with it. And I'm probably going to make it just slightly a little bit bigger. Let that merge. And of course, now I'm clicking merge and I'm like, why isn't it merging? Well, that's because 99.9% guaranteed that it's actually creating on level 1 and not level 2. It should be in the same level as the other parts, or else it's not going to merge with it. So let's go to here, and yes, I created it level 1, that original layer. So I need to move that up to the top of the list here. Now it will merge. There we go. And I am going to make it larger. Not too big. Here. And again, it looks odd because everything's real bulky right now. We're going to thin that down a little bit. And then we got to add the texture to the center area. Let's talk about that texture really quickly. Let's go ahead and hit save on this file, save. Let's talk about that texture, how we're going to do it and all. If you recall, in the original 2D view of that photo that we're working with and everything, that photo, let me pull it out from behind. There we go. It has these little dimples, like kind of little sunflower petals or pegs, or pollen pods, or whatever you want to call them, right? I'm not a botanist, so not sure. But that to me, when I look at this, I'm like, okay, I'm racking my brain, going, what does that look like? If I were to go find a picture online that I could turn into a texture, what would fit the bill with that, for me? And for me, let's go online and let me show you what I would choose. So we're going to go online and open up another tab here. And I'm going to type in river rock. Background image. And let's go to images. And I'm going to find an image that appeals to me and everything. And I'm going to use it, and I'm going to make a texture of it. I'm going to make a model of that texture and everything. So I want to find something that, and I'm looking for like piles of leaves I use to create all kinds of barky type textures and everything. And so those little pods, they have some roundness to them, and they have some, a variety of different shapes and all. And so they're kind of, somewhat on top of each other and overlapping each other and things. Now, when I'm looking for an image that I'm going to use, it cannot have any watermarks. It can't have any, it's got to be just a clean image, like border to border, right? Clean image kind of thing. Because I'm going to be importing this image in and turning it right into a texture. I don't want to go through and edit and crop and this and that, and all that stuff. So I'm going to find an image that appeals to me, that doesn't have any border edges or anything. Those rocks are a little bit big. I'm going to say that was great, but just a little bit big. I need a little bit smaller and a little bit more. I need more. So let's close that for just a second. Go back up here. I'm not worried about like rocks with sharp edges and all that stuff, because I can smooth that out in the software. We'll go with this. All right, so I'm going to right click and open image in a new window, a new tab. And I'm going to save this image. It's Ohio River Rock. Thank you, Ohio. All right, so let's hit save. And now we're going to import that image, but we're going to import it a special way. We're going to create, let me get back over here. We are going to create a component from a selected or imported bitmap. So when I click on this and I select this river rock, when it imports, it's going to import quite large. So give it just a second. It's going to take up the whole screen, most likely. Didn't need to cover. Is everybody still awake? Pedal, I do believe. Pedal is what you go with pedal is what you do with your bike. Thank you. Pedal, P-E-T-A-L. There you go. Pedal is what you do with your bike. Very good. I just saw that comment. All right, so here is the component. And of course, it brings it kind of off over to the side. I'm going to, let's size it down. All right, and let's right click on this, move to layer. I'm going to put this on a new layer because I want to, in the layers, I want to show only this, because in the 3D view, hopefully it does only show in the 3D view. All right, anyhow, let's go into the components for a moment and show only this. I got some work to do on it. So in here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it onto the board. It's really rough around the edges right now, really spiky and everything. If I were to kind of zoom into it, it's real textury in everything. And I want to tone that down a little bit. So with that, I want to go into my design tools. Well, first of all, let's double click on it and go to the properties and see how tall things are. So 0.15, it's not real tall or anything like that. It's just a little over 1/8 of an inch. We'll leave that be. So in my design tool, I just want to apply an overall smoothing filter to this component. And I probably could, you know, I could have looked a little found smaller river rock, more rounded, shapely little pebbles. I could choose marbles. I could have did a pile of marbles, right, as the background image, marble, and it would have had like a little stack of marbles and all that stuff. Whatever, you know. I want to preserve the transparency, and I want to turn this up probably about midway. Now you're going to see how this interacts, how this interacts with the little dome that it's going to lay over. I'll show you how we make that happen, right? Let's smooth that off just a little bit. There we go. I'm good with that. And by the way, this is how you make all kinds of cool background textures for your signs and stuff. If you have a spire, you can, this could be literally the background of a sign and words could be raised up on it, you know, like, you know, welcome home or whatever. Could be all kind of cool stuff. All right, let's get this centered in there. Imagine that as the background of a sign with words. That's good. Okay, let's go into here. I'm going to center this onto the material because that's where my circle is, right? And I'm going to size it down. About like that. Now, here's the deal. If I bring this river rock into level 2, you know, because that's where my little dome is and everything, I need the river rock to add to that centerpiece, but not everything else. And add means it's going to drape over everything, you know. And I need it to add to the dome, but I need it to merge and kind of blend with everything else or disappear and stuff. I can't do that in this, you know, in this scenario with just throwing it in the same level and everything. If I do that, then what happens is we get this kind of thing where it's, you know, it's spread across the petals and stuff like that, and we just can't, you know, we just can't do that. And again, I can see here that my river rock is a little bit big to be those little dimples and all. I could probably use a different texture or go find some, like I said, smaller ones and stuff, but we're going to go with the flow, ladies and gentlemen. So here's what I'm going to do. This is where levels plays. This is how the role, this is the role of levels and what the magic of them. So we're going to create a new level. We are going to put the river rock and the center dome on that level. All right. Now these two are they're going to interact with one another, but now they're kind of adding on top of the flowers and all. So you can see that kind of that crazy look right there, you know, and everything. Well, first of all, I need my little rock pattern here to not be outside of that little dome. So in my 2D view, let's turn my vectors back on here. I'm going to select this vector. And I'm going to go into, I'm going to select this component, go back to the 2D view. Wait for it. With that vector selected and with this river rock component selected, I'm going to clear everything outside of that vector. Get rid of it. Okay. So now let's go back to the 3D view. Okay. Now I need, in the component tree, I need this level not to add to the level below it. I need it to merge with the level below it. And again, the petals still look weird and all. We got to reduce their heights and all that stuff in just a moment. Okay. All right. Now, my dome, I made larger after I made it, right? I forgot to largen up or increase the size of the circle. So I just trimmed that photo to that smaller circle, right? So let's got to take a step back for a second. Edit, undo, change component combine mode. Edit, undo, delete. Wait for it. Edit. Okay, going to go back to that dome component. I'm going to select it. And in my design tool, I'm going to go ahead and create a boundary, a vector boundary around it so that if we go into the 2D view, that's the boundary, right? So that's the one I want to trim my river rock to, that bigger circle right there. So let's select that. Let's select the river rock. And then let's clear outside of that boundary. That'll be better. It'll wrap over like a sheet a little bit more. There we go. Then we can change that combine mode to merge. It's merging. These two items are adding to the river rock is adding to the dome in that level, inside that level. It's adding to it. But as a whole, that whole is merging with the level below it. That level as a whole is merging with the level below it, which gives us the that blend and gives us the results that we need in everything. And so not perfect for the little petals, right? The little dimples. The rock is a little bit bulky and all, but let's turn this up on the kind of a front view here for a moment. And so it's somewhat organic, right? You know, I could have probably, you know, found a better image with more uniform roundness, not so uniform, but I'm good with it for that. All right, now I got these petals here, and they're all individualized and everything, and all. But I need to kind of start getting, because I got to get my other petals that are coming behind them. I got to get them kind of into play too, and I need them to kind of start, you know, changing the height on some of the things and stuff, getting things to blend a little bit more. It looks odd with this kind of shadow line right here and everything. If I turned off the shadow shading, like on the view, and I turn off use shadow shading, it should kind of go away some, but it still shows a little bit of that darker and where things are kind of fading, that tilt and fade and all that stuff. But the shadow shading kind of just helps, you know, sell the illusion of that three-dimensional stuff. All right, so now we got to get our other petals in there, and we got to kind of get a little bit of more of organic shape and stuff to this and all. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, in our 2D view, I'm going to turn off these upper components for a moment. I'm going to turn on my original petal with the draft. I'm going to make sure that the layer that they were created on is turned on so I can see it. Excuse me, sorry. There we go. And in the 3D view, I'm going to change the shape up a bit. I'm going to keep this shape here. The reason why I'm turning this shape back on, I'm not changing this shape, but I'm about to create another 2-rail sweep for the back pedals, and I want to use this shape as kind of my reference to see, you know, if I've created the right flow. All right, so let's go to, I'm actually going to keep the same 2-rail sweep here. And what you're going to see here in just a second is I'm going to go into rotate. Here's the pivot point. I'm going to grab this and drag this down to the center of the board. And I'm going to grab this corner, and now I'm rotating off that pivot point. And I want to I'm literally kind of just bringing this like right here. And this is going to be slightly, the back pedals are going to be slightly longer than the upper pedals. Not drastic longer, but oops, change my pivot point. Be careful when you stretch it all. Make sure you change your pivot point correctly. Go right about like that. So these are going to be my 2 rails and everything here. And essentially, when they come into this area here, all of this stuff is going to be pretty much gone. You're not going to even see it and everything. So we'll probably end up removing a lot of it and all that stuff. But let's go back to, I need my profile vectors turned back on. Let's do another 2-rail sweep really quick. Coming along. All right, 2-rail sweep. here is still going to have those hold down the shift key, select that one, that one. That's my drive rails. It's going to be a merge component. And for this, it's going to have that wrinkle at the front. So I need to come over to my profiles. But this time I'm going to be using the smaller, not so tall, the smaller one, because it's kind of in the back and everything. So we're going to go from here. That one, that is going to start there. And it's going to run, you know, somewhere to in that general area there. We're going to have a little bit of height pickup, kind of that there, not too much, not too much. And that's going to go from here to here. And then the little guy here, I'm actually going to have that transition to there. Let's apply that. We'll switch over to the 3D view and see how the two, how well they play together. And then I'll make my changes appropriate to my profiles and stuff according. Let me turn it to where okay, so the height is good up to here, but remember I had that fade running in there. You know, I had that fade running in on this first one. And so if I add the fade to the second one, and I take a little bit of the fade out of the first one, that might give me my balance. Or I may just need to have my lower profile, I need to kind of make it just come down lower, you know, and all, because all this stuff is going to be pretty much gone. Anything, you're not really going to see anything from here down. It's hidden. It's in the backside of the model and all. So I may just have this go to nothing. Let me see. Let's close this for a second. And I think what I'll do is, because it's good up to here, let's go back to the 2D view for just a moment. I want to create a new little profile. Hold down the control key. I'm going to drag this over here, and I'm going to, on node editing, I'm actually going to take this node and this node, and I'm going to pull them up. And make this a smaller shape. So in my 2-rail sweep, which I believe is this one. Why am I frozen? My mind is frozen. Hold on one second. Let me click on my component here and see which one it is. Okay. Okay, so that is component 2. Well, what the hell is component 3? Let's get rid of component 3. It doesn't even belong there. I don't even know what it is. Ah, goofball. Okay. It wasn't completed yet. It was still in the same. It was in the design tool was open. That's what it was. Excuse me. All right, so let's go back to here and go back to the properties of this in the 2-rail sweep tool. And get it to open back up. Wait for it. There we go. Lord have mercy. All right, it's not going to let me edit. Usually, sometimes I can get it to just open right back up and let me edit, but no problem. I just got to recreate it real quickly. Let's go in here and let's do this again. That's going to be my drive rails. We're going to go, this will be first. This will be second. Actually, hold on a minute. That's going to go from here to there. That's going to go. And then my new profile, this one, is what I'm going to start transitioning to all the way down to here. And merge, apply. Now, the other component is still there. I got to delete it. It just didn't delete before I started making it. Let that apply. And that's component number 2. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. Delete component number 2. Now we'll look at the 3D view. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let me click apply again. There we go. Close. All right. Now, the green, when it's lit up and highlighted, showing that, there's something behind it and all of that stuff. Okay, so now let's go ahead and turn on all the other components. And wait for it. Wait for it. Got to get rid of that middle section right there. Give it just a moment. Oh, I'm an idiot. Turn this one off. That one was still set to add down there at the bottom. I was like, what's going on there? There we go. Starting to look good now. Jeez Louise. There's always a reason when something like, doesn't go right. It's like there's a reason. You just got to step back for a second and say, what's going on? I had my original still checked. And of course, level 2 was adding to level 1, right? The one that was checked. And that's why it was creating that that higher point and everything and throwing it off. All right, I'm going to take this pedal right here, and in the circular array tool, it should be 15 as well. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So on my circular array, should be able to maintain that 15 copies around that center point. And it should come in, and if life loves me, fill in right there in the middle area of those other ones. So far, it looks like I'm doing all right. Now, on that 15th one, and let me hit save real quick because there's a lot of models in there right now. On that 15th one and everything, it may have created a duplicate, if you will. I'll be able to determine that in a moment. Okay, let's click off. So nothing is selected here. My middle part, the rocket, the little pebbles and all, still a lot to deal with there. And the shadow on the outside and the inside and all that's really throwing me off. Light follows viewer. That's fine. All right. Now I want to reduce, I want to kind of bring some things down and bring some things up and all that stuff. I'm good here. I think I want to actually make almost like a sunflower. I think I kind of want to make my center area actually bigger. And I honestly, it's going to bug me. I want to take 2 seconds and find a better photo. So give me 2 seconds, and I might not use River Rock as the example. Let's see what a pile of marbles background image or a sheet of marbles. Probably a sheet of marbles instead of a pile of marbles. Let's see. I don't care if they're colored marbles or black and white or this or that, you know, it's just that roundedness, right? The roundedness texture is what I'm looking for. I think that's going to produce a much better image for me. What I want is a high resolution image, right? So I'm going to go up to tools on Google and I want to go size large, get rid of all the medium and small and everything, but also large. I might lose, you know, some of the good options and everything, which I did. Also, let me see if sheet of marbles is a better word choice. Now, it thinks I'm saying sheet of marble. So a pile of marbles will be fine. I just need to go into medium. Let me see what medium. The higher the resolution of the image, you know, the better, you know, chance that I'll have. That's 626 by 626. Let's give that one a go. Open image in a new tab. It's a decent size image. I like the roundness. I've got some highs and lows and stuff like that. Again, color doesn't matter at this point in the sense of things. Let's see if it's a JPEG, PNG, bitmap, GIF, or TIFF. It is an AVIF file. Let's go. Marbles. All right, so we're going to go into Aspire, and I'm going to create a, let's turn off the River Rock model for right now. Go to the design, create a component from a selected or imported bitmap. We had a great show, by the way, at the open house, everybody. It was pretty cool. It was good stuff. Let me see here. Let me look over here. Let me see how we're doing on the comment section. Bunch of grapes, right? Bunch of grapes. That would be a good term, too. Yes, you could use Photor to create what you want, for sure. For sure, Photor. I want to center this. I'm going to size it down. Making sure it's larger than my that center vector. But this time I'm going to size it down to where it's like right, just almost the size, right to the edge almost. There we go. And we're going to select that outside vector. Yeah, those are going to produce. We're going to go into the remove clear area of selected component outside of a selected vector tool. Get rid of that. We got to go into the component tree, make sure that the marbles is in the same level as the river rock, and it is adding to that. And then let's go to the 3D view. All right. And what you're going to see here in just 2 seconds is I want to make them a little bit more pronounced, but smoother, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and say show only this. Show only this. I'm going to go into the height here and I'm going to make those 1/8 of an inch. It's going to puff up that shape a little bit. Not much. And then I'm going to go into the design view and smooth, apply a smoothing filter to it. Pull that out probably right about midway. This gets rid of all the textury fills and everything. I can really, depending on what I want for the smoothing, I want kind of just those bumps, right? I want to be bumpy. So, but not textury, just bumpy, kind of smooth and bumpy. All right, so we'll go with that. Click OK. Go back into the component tree. Turn on the dome. All right. And then we'll turn on level 2. Now that I have this created and all, now I can size the dome and everything and all and size it all together. And I want to kind of almost like a sunflower. I'd like to make it just a little bit bigger. Honestly, I don't know why. I think I'd like to make it bigger. I think it would look good. So I'm going to select these 2 items in that vector. And I'd actually like to size it up. Like that. Go into the 3D view. I could have done this in the 3D view so I could watch it all at the same time and everything and all. And in here, if I click on this, right, when I'm in here and stuff, in the 3D view, I can change the height of those parts and all. So I can, make them peaky, spiky, right? Or I can settle them down a little bit. I'm going to go 0.1. And I can type in a number here. So I'm going to go 3/16, 0.1875. All right. And then let's get off that. Now, I am, again, just the reason why I'm laughing is I forgot to add the draft to these parts when I made that edge. So let me show you what I'm going to do here for that. I'm going to take these parts right here. Forgot to add the draft to them. Wait for it. It's got to select them. I'm going to I'll leave them without their draft. Remember, I like my originals, right? So I will show. I don't think it'll let me show only this with multiple selected like that. So I'm going to drag these. These are my originals. I'm going to drag these down to the original layer. I only need one, but they're all there now. So I'm going to drag those down to there for a moment. I'm going to turn off layer 2 and level 2 and level 1 up here. Okay, so just these parts right here. And make sure they're the only thing showing. I want them to be the only thing that's visible. Only thing that's visible. And I'm going to go into the create a draft on the visible model. Apply a draft to visible model. I'm going to use the same 17-degree draft and apply a draft to that. Now what's going to happen is it's not going to create an individual component for every one of those pedals with a draft. It's going to create one model with a draft. So these will be, it'll be made into, it'll be a new model, but it's going to be a new model component with a draft. I should have done it before I circled them around. But that it really just is, it's going to put a slight angle to it and smooth those edges out really well for me. And then, yeah, heck, Ronnie, I could have, with Photor, I could have created a grayscale boss relief, whatever, the description is, of a multi-petal flower and everything. And then I could have taken it into the Google developer area and taken that grayscale and turned it into a depth map, and then imported that image in and created a whole image with heights and everything. I taught a class on that, the AI, modeling with AI, and Kyle did too on Learn Your CNC. All right. Now, the reason why the little bubble turned on is because it created that new component up in the active level that I had selected, and it turned on what was on that level as well. That's why the little center part popped in there. So the new component got created up here because level 1 was active. It was highlighted. All right, so that's fine. That's not where it needs to be, but though it needs to be down here in level 2. And I could have renamed this and all that stuff. All right, so turn off all my originals. I only need one original. I don't, and just copy it around. If I wanted to make my program lighter and all, as far as, megabytes and all that stuff, I could delete all of them except for my original component 3 right there. So I could come up here and select all of these. Hit delete. Keeping that original component 3. Excuse me. You might say, why did the round marbles turn kind of peaky and everything? It's because they are, because of the color of the marbles. Because of the color of the marbles. If I would have said a pile of white marbles, it would have come out rounder on each one of those. But it's all good. All right, let's go in here and last thing, wrapping this flower up and all, I need to create the rest of my model real quick. Let's get it everything kind of in place, and then I'll show you some height adjustment real quick to give it some ebb and flow. All right, so here in this project, I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to draw not a rectangle, Laney. 15-inch diameter circle. I'm going to offset that circle inward. I'm going to go 3/4, I believe it was. Yep. Five-eighths. All right. This is basically going to be, I'll create the flat, it's a flat shape basically. It's going to be 1 inch thick. 1 inch thick. Now, when I create this, right now, level 1 is active. I need to go down and make another level active that this base goes into. Let that create real quick. Let me jump over to the components tree. It's very important to, pay attention to that stuff. I need to be down here, but I need to insert a new level. I'm going to rename this level to base. All right, and then this inner circle is going to be also a flat shape. It's going to be a subtract. It's going to be a height of 5/8. And then let's go to the 3D view so you can see what's happening here. Now, the base is already made. I mean, I literally bought the base. It's already a round bar stool base, 15 and 3/8 or whatever, general diameter. I'll be using the inside vector as the boundary when I create the 2D or the 3D rough and 3D finish toolpath. So it's just milling all of the material away on the inside. And it's going to be a raster cut, like a planer going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I needed to just create that model just so I have just that reference for myself, because at this point, I want to reduce my model height and things. Now, for this model height, it's got some meat on its back end. So I want to, on this level, I want to show only this level. Okay, nothing else. Well, that's a lie. This level too, with the center part, and those right there. That I'm going to call this model done for here. So I'm going to go into the 2D view and I'm going to create a new model from what's visible. When I do that, it's going to take all of this and make it another model of the same thing. And then I can show only this. Show only this means it turns everything else off but that. And in the 2D view, remember I said I had a lot of base meat on the back end? I'm going to shave a little bit of that off. I'm going to reduce the height a little bit. So this tool is here, replace the Z value below the 0 plane. And what it does is when I turn it on, there's an arrow here. And this gray this gray kind of outlier here is my 0 plane. And I can drag it up or down, and I can remove what I want off of it. And all I want to do is I'm literally just taking some of the straight meat off the back of this. I'm pulling this up to take some of that meat off the back. I'm taking, in this case, I'm going to go about 3/16. 0.1875. I want it to be transparent. I want to lower the component by that value, and I'm going to click apply. And that's basically going to shave off that back end. Rather than me trying to squish down the model and lose, the detail, I can take off some of that extra meat off the back end. And then when I reduce the height and stuff like that, I'm not having to sacrifice as much of the detail and all. So just bring that down. All right, close this tool. All right, now I could go in here and start sculpting and things and kind of pushing things around and changing some of the flow of this. But what I want to do mostly is just go into here and I have a 1-inch thick part block. I'm going to be going down 5/8. That leaves 3/8. 0.3. Wait for it. Turn back on the base. Turn back on the shadow shading. Go back into this part. Come on. 6/2. I didn't need to reduce it down to 3/8. I did my math wrong. I've got a 1-inch piece. I'm taking 5/8 of an inch away, and the model's sitting down in that 5/8. So as long as the model is less than 5/8 inches thick, then the highest peak of the model will be at the highest edge of the board. Yeah. All right, and so now in here, when this is all said and done and all that stuff, as far as rounded over edges, the part that my round disc already has the rounded edges and everything, and the thing that's important for me is, kind of the flower and everything. And so we could spin lots and lots of times, and we could create different heights and all. We could make more of a wave. I could create a profile underneath this flower. Right now, this flower is flat, right? I could create a profile under this flower with a bit of a wave in the center that's down low, almost like a dome. I could stick a dome underneath the entire flower so that it has a little bit of a different flow to it, to give it a little bit of shape and everything. And that's how we're going to end the evening. I'll show you that. In here, we will take the entire model. We will create a vector boundary around that selected component. We will go into this create smooth shape component tool. Let's turn off. We'll make level 2 active. That's fine, but let's turn off the component. Let's turn off the base so that y'all can see what gets created. Let's put this on, that's on level 3. Let's turn off the vectors for level 2. Hide them. That's good. All right. So here, this vector here, right here, is going to get trimmed. This is going to be my trimming vector. It's going to trim to that model, right? But I can use this vector to create my shape, And so basically what's going to happen is on the shape that I'm creating and everything, we are going to create, let me split the view. What's going to be the best way to split this so everybody can see what's happening here? Okay. So here in the middle at the top, I'm going to make it slightly wide. Here, let me just wait for the computer to just catch up to us. Let me hit wait for the computer for a minute. Come on, Patrick. Let me just hit save just to, hit save. All right, on the scale, the shape height and everything, we're not flattening it off. We're not limiting to a height, so no limit. It's 100%, no limit. On the scale, don't want it to be like really big and all, so I'm just going to go 30%. And in the center, right now the center is real wide. I need the base wide and the center kind of a little narrower, right? Like the center of the flower and all. So I'll slide this inward a little bit. And then hit apply. I'll move this down on the screen so you can see it a little bit better. All right, let me see if I can turn this a little bit more on its side so you can kind of see what's happening here and everything. So basically, it's hard. It's very subtle right now, but it's not like a dome. It's not like a dome. It's kind of somewhat rising, but then it's curving in here and then to the dome in the middle. So the dome is kind of coming down and then it's flattening out a little bit as it goes to the inside and everything. So it's kind of creating this shape. Now, if I made my center, point narrower, it'd start being more pointy, right? What I want is I'm trying to increase the base. Wait for it. The total height wait for it. Let me see what let's go 0.1875 on the total overall height. The base I am going to bring that in a little bit. There we go. Wait a moment. All right, so we're going to change this. Now that I got this height here, total height, %30 scale. All right, I'll have to reduce that down in a second. All right, let's close that. Let's turn on a flower. Hold on. Would help if I checked it. Now with that combine mode being an add mode, it takes on, let me go into full view here. Hang tight. Let it maximize the screen. Come on now. Oh, I keep saying I'm hitting the magnifying glass like that's the maximize button, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. My mind is crazy today. All right. So this shape underneath is, the flower is kind of is laying over it again like a sheet. So I can manipulate that shape. Excuse me. And if I play everything right and everything, that shape can come in flat and then kind of in the middle start to dome, and so that the petals kind of lay over it. So the center's a little, higher than the petals on the outside. Right now, it's kind of just almost laid out like a dish or a dome, should I say, when I want it to kind of curve in. And wait for it to catch up. Once I have that shape, then I come in here, I select that component, I select this vector, and I trim everything outside of that selected vector. Wait. So that it can be whatever. Let me look at the components. I'm going to see it with or without this. Let me change the height really quickly. I'd like to have more of an S-curve flow to it, but I have to play with it. Let's see here. Let's go. I'm just going to go. On the shape height. There we go. All right, let's turn that base back on. Okay. Let's click off that. All right, we're going to wrap up with the toolpaths really quickly. Let's hit save. For me, there's going to be 3 toolpaths. Wait for it. Come on. There we go. Lord of mercy. Switch over to the toolpath side. So I'm going to select this inside circle vector. That's going to be my vector boundary. We're going to have a profile cut. This profile cut is going to be cutting on the inside of the line. Yes, I know. 1 second. One inch. Bear with me 1 minute, folks. Oh, yep. Excuse me. All right. That component is just pushing it up a little bit too high by the full amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down to 1/8 of an inch. It really doesn't need to be there because it's not the right shape anyway, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take my base pocket, bring that all right, so that's 1 inch. So all right, I'll leave it at that. I'd have to play with it a little bit more. Okay, so my pocket or my profile cut is going to be cutting on the inside of the line. It's going to cut down to the bottom of my pocket area here, which is 3/4. And it's going to use a 1/4 inch end mill, and it's a profile cut, 1/4 inch end mill on the inside of the line. And what that's going to do is when I calculate that, that's going to give me a relief cut right around this edge here. So that when my 3D rough cut comes in and my finish cut comes in, it'll have a relief here for my tapered Baldo's bit, not to crash on the edges and everything. From there's going to be a 3D rough cut that is going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. It's going to use the selected vector as the boundary, Z-level raster, and it's going to leave about 40 thousandths of material on that. And that's going to go in and Z-level raster that material away to rough cut that area. Let me turn off the color there. It's hard to see. And then the 3D finish cut is going to be using a, I'd like to get a little bit of detail on those cracks and the dividers between the pedals and stuff. So I'm going to use I could use a combination of 2 bits, the 1/8 and the 16th inch tapered ball nose to reduce runtime. And that would be, the smarter way to go. So I'll do that. And use a combination with rest machining of the 1/8 and the, oops, hold on. Stop that. I don't want a boundary offset. No boundary offset. No boundary offset. Wait for it. And let's see what we have for our goodbyes and all that stuff. Thanks for the refresher class. Yes, great class. Awesome. Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate that, Roger S. I probably missed the early explanation for this flower, but couldn't you just grab an STL file of a flower and not go through these steps? But again, I missed something, I'm sure. Great tips. Yeah, Ronnie, I could go spend $5 and buy a model of a flower. But also I like to practice and learn my modeling skills, and also I like to teach modeling and everything. I could add my own uniqueness to it and all that stuff. Yeah, I could probably find a much better flower on Etsy, right? That somebody made, somebody that has sculpting skills, but it doesn't help me become a better modeler. It doesn't help me become a better designer. It's just the easy way, right? So yeah, that's I sure could. I sure could have went and spent $5 and $10, $15, whatever, and bought a flower. But what does that teach me? Just teach me how to get by, right? Get by. I spent $1,995 on the Spire for a reason. You want to learn to use it. And then if I'm really good at it, I could build this model, and then I could turn around and upload it to my website, and I could sell it for $5 a download, or $15 a download, or $20 a download, and I could make money off of my design. So it becomes a vending machine of income, right? And if I do a good enough job and think it's something that somebody would like, that's absolutely where it goes. Money in the pocket. All right, let's go back into here. No boundary offset. Come on, dude. Let me stop that again. Selected vector as the boundary. Selected vector as the boundary is what we want to choose for our 3D finish. No boundary offset. Raster cut. Calculate. Let me see here. On how to start from scratch to create a design model. Oh, and thank you for the class tonight. Not fun when you're running a hot and nasty cold, but you're but you're tougher than woodpecker. Thanks, really. Tougher than woodpecker. Don't make me laugh, Ronnie. Let me see here. But couldn't you grab a file? But again, I missed this stuff. I'm sure. Great tips. Okay. So yes, I could have grabbed a file, but it's good start to finish. learning how to make things. Woodpecker. Thanks, man. I think Ryan's trying to kill me with laughter. Okay. There we go. Now we're cooking with butter. All right. So in this, what we should be able to have now is preview the visible toolpath. This come through and start removing the material. Again, that first cut and everything is to give me a little bit of relief, but I have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion that you're going to see the circle right here get wider. No, I was right. I wasn't wrong. And remember now, this is going to be on a disc. Now I want to just, for those of you that have stuck with me this long, I want to show you something. All right. So we're going to go online and we're going to go to Facebook. And we're going to go to Digital Woodcarver's website or Facebook page. And we're going to go to the open house event that we had. And we had Wood Miser out there. We had all kinds of things and stuff. And I want to come over. We had a bunch of our machines going. And as we progressed through, made that Christmas tree. That was fun. That was I carved that during the show. It was pretty cool. 3D model. We go here. All right. Let me see. I think I'm already maximized in here, but you see this part here. I wish I would have had a picture of it before, after it was done. But this is those discs, right? This is a teak disc and everything, and I happen to have it on here. And I don't know if I got like an actual. They didn't do a very good job. But this was before the carving, and I don't think there's any other pictures of it. Nope. All right, so bummer. I'll see if I can get a picture of the finished piece. It came out really, really well. Let me get back to it. But that this with the flowers and all, it's just kind of a 4-petal type flower with grapes or whatever the case may be. Turned out really, really nice, and that's what inspired me to. This is a project we taught in the class there. That's what inspired me to. For tonight's class, and I wanted to make my own flower, and of course, I could give this a little bit more body and all that stuff to it, give it a little bit more height and all that, take away that that fading in here, and kind of give me a little bit more rise in the middle and stuff, but it's just kind of, working with that 2-rail sweep and different things. Now, to Ronnie's question, right? If I did multi petal flower 3D STL model file on old Google, right? And go to images and everything. There are, excuse me, there are bunches of 3D models out there. Now that's a beautiful one. That's a cool one, right? There's all kinds of multi-petal flowers and everything. With nice curve and body and stuff, and I could make that too if I took time with my little profiles and all that stuff. But anyway, lots of cool things, right? For those that would make really beautiful centerpieces. This is kind of almost like the one we did at the show, and things. So there's really lots and lots of good choices, right? And when you're looking at those model files and stuff like that, oh heck, I mean they could probably range Yeah, so I believe this is a free place. And the guy just, asked for a donation, right? Buy him some coffee or something for those model files and stuff. So that's cool. This is free download 3dmodelfile.com and everything. And so, there's lots of places where the sure, it, if you don't have a Spire and you want to do a project like this and you can't model, then here you go. You can find those a project like that, import it right in and create your toolpaths for sure. Absolutely. And that's a pretty cool one. But that acheive.net free STL downloads, acheive.net. The guy's just asking for donations for, the model. And, there's, lots of different, you can type in anything and search for anything and find those models and stuff. This just, gives me the ability to learn how to model and sculpt. And one day I'll get good enough where I can make something like that. You never know. So with that, yes, Ronnie, go do that. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is next week's class. Many of you, some of you might already be aware of this, but there is a website online called Scan the World, my little my CNC laboratory. And Scan the World is basically a collection of people all over the world that go to museums, they go to architectural dig sites, they go to my mini factory, they go to just all over. And they, full collection, they scan, 3D scan statues and relics and different things from these museums and all. And all of the scans and models and everything, all the model files, they're free downloads. And I just did one at the show. The name of the model was unknown woman or unknown lady, like this unknown man, right? So unknown woman, unknown lady. But the model files, I mean, there's just hundreds of them. There's statues. Some of them, there's not always statues. Some of them are panels and different things and stuff like that. Most of them, it's full 3D sketch sheet for 3D printing and all. And there's just a lot of cool stuff here, right? And so I'd like to, it's a rotary job, rotary fourth axis or rotary axis and all. It's really straightforward and everything, to show you how you could take, a component model such as this and turn it into wait for it. Wait for it. Open an existing file. Waiting for my file explorer to pop up, which it's saying it did. There it is. I knew it did. And if I go into my M drive here, woman model rotary, so we can see a preview of this. Wait for it. Then we're going to say our goodbyes, ladies and gentlemen. I have got to get some hot tea and honey and go to bed. It is opening. I swear it is opening. It's a big file. All right. Now, as funny as albeit, now listen, when you're in here, let's go to the 3D view real quick. When it's unwrapped, the statues, they look a little odd. So in the 3D view, come on now. Come on now. Let me turn off all the toolpaths. When it's on, when it's unwrapped, you got to think of it unwrapping the model, and it kind of stretches everything out. So the four corners of the the pedestal are here and everything like that. And then when you wrap it up, into its rotary and everything, this is, wait for it. Oh, let me get her in the full view here. Oh, there where everybody can see you. Wait for it. Anyhow, so this is the statue, and we carved it out of a piece of firewood, and on that Facebook page, it was on the 2440 fourth axis, which was this right here. That was the piece of firewood. I believe it was a piece of walnut or something. And as it was going through the day, let me get back over to it. This was kind of the rounding and the rough cut phase and everything. And then the finished result was great, but I don't have a picture of it. Unfortunately, I got to get them to send me a photo of it and everything. But that ended up being, when it was all said and done, that ended up being this statue. Got her hair up in a bun. Let me turn it back around. It's a big file, so my computer's been struggling all night. Come on, show your face so we can move on. Turn around. But anyway, I'd like to make a class of it and kind of show you scan the world and introduce you to that. myminifactory.com. Memberships are free, and literally it's just people that go all over the world, and they scan statues and things like that, and those scans super high resolution and everything, and they are just amazing models. Now, it's not for everybody, not everybody, but heck, if you want to make a model of Julius Caesar, there's one in there, right? If you want Brutus, et tu Brute, there's a statue of that in there. If you want King Tut, there's King Tut in there, but all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of cool stuff lots of history and things like that. And, it just makes for really neat things. That walnut, that piece of firewood, this sculpture had so much detail in it when it carved and everything. I used a 16th inch tapered ball nose. For the finish cut, I used a 1/4 inch end mill for the rough cut and the rounding toolpath. Phenomenal detail when it was finished. Altogether, it was about 5 hours, the run time, start to finish, from the rounding to the finish and everything. And it was, it turned out really cool. So I'd like to be able to, show that to you in the class if that's something that might interest you. Give me a thumbs up, on this video. Let me know that you like that idea and you like this video. All right, everybody, let me get back over to and see who else is on the screen. If everybody's awake or asleep, I don't want to call anybody out. Ronnie's still there. It looks like JR is still there. Let's go here. There's Ronnie. JR is right there. And let's put me back at full view for just a moment. Okay, I had to go over to the other computer to do that. All right. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with me through it all. And yeah, you can make a very cool chess set. Probably good. Yeah, I don't know who would be the pawns, but yeah, there's Scan the World is phenomenal. And it's free, and that's what it's called, is My Mini Factory. Scan the World, myminifactory.com, myminifactory.com. Scan the World, full collection. And they got, all kinds of neat stuff, There's it's not for the timid of heart, There's a lot of little penises running around there on the statues and breasts and all that. So if you got kids, don't be showing them My Scan the World. But it is art, so it is what it is. We got to all be adults about it. But so YouTube don't flag me for showing statue penises. Anyhow, they got the just neat stuff. Dinosaurs, yeah, dinosaurs, skull, all that stuff. I kept talking about, but they got dinosaur bones and relics and Jefferson Davis. There you go. But neat stuff. And these are literally real world things that were scanned by people. And it's really awesome. All right, everybody. Well, listen, I hope y'all are doing well. Stay healthy, stay good. And do y'all have any questions? If you do, put them in the chat. Ronnie, JR, do y'all have any questions or anything?
No, not a thing. Just take care of yourself. Well,
yeah, man. I appreciate that. And Roger, I'd like to see that 2,000 millimeter CNC lathe when it's done. Your last one was pretty is pretty cool and everything. So looking forward to seeing that. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that on some of these models and stuff, that have undercuts and things like that, that's a little tough. Vectric Aspire doesn't really do well with undercutting and things like that. But I can show you how a statue, if you don't have a 4th axis or a rotary axis, and you wanted to bring a model like this in and carve it as a 2D or a relief, bas relief, on a flat panel and something like that, then I will be able to demonstrate that as well, right? So hopefully that might be something that just interests y'all just for learning and stuff and things, and that's what we'll do in one of these classes. All right, everybody. JR, Ronnie, thanks for hanging out with me. Y'all all, thanks for hanging out with me. And y'all, I've got to go. I got to get some rest. We'll see you later.
yeah.
Let me find my in-stream button.